The silence was a physical weight, thick with the scent of freshly mown grass and the bitter tang of injustice. It started with a whisper, then a demand. And now it was a full-blown siege. You're kidding me, right? That's what I thought. Standing there on my own property, staring down the barrel of Mrs. Eleanor Vance's self-appointed authority, and her two hired muscle. They wore uniforms. Sure, but they were the kind you get from a Halloween store. All plasticky buttons and a badge that looked like it was molded from tin foil. Sir, you are in violation of Regulation 37B. Section 2. Subsection C. The taller of the two officers droned, his voice a gravelly monotone, devoid of any official conviction. He adjusted his flimsy utility belt, which rattled with every movement. My wife, Sarah, clutched my arm, her nails digging into my sleeve. I could feel her heart hammering against her ribs. A frantic bird trapped in a cage. We just finished putting up the fence. A simple, 3-foot-tall picket fence, painted a perfectly acceptable shade of eggshell white, to keep our dog, Pip, from running into the street. A week of honest sweat and bruised thumbs, only for it to be deemed a blight on the community by Eleanor, the self-proclaimed empress of our homeowners association. She stood there, a predatory smile on her face, her hands on her hips, a silent challenge in her eyes. You have 24 hours to take it down, she declared, her voice a grating, saccharine purr, or we will be forced to take further action. Further action, I scoffed. A dry, humorless sound. This charade, this pathetic attempt at intimidation, was her further action. I was done. I took a slow, deep breath, the air burning in my lungs. My knuckles were white as I tightened my grip on the manila envelope I held. My face, I knew, was a mask of cold fury, a stark contrast to Sarah's trembling fear. I looked past the rent-a-cops, past Eleanor, and at the perfectly manicured lawn, the symbol of everything she stood for. A pristine, emotionless, lifeless plot of land that was her kingdom. I was not going to let her turn my home into a reflection of her empty soul. The fake cop took a step forward, his shadow falling over Sarah and me like a shroud. I'm not going to ask again. Son. The word son dripped with condescension. My blood went cold. I felt a surge of rage, a hot flash that made me want to grab him by the collar and scream in his face. But I didn't. I held my ground. I just stared at him. The silence stretched, a tense cord about to snap. He flinched, just a little, the bravado in his eyes wavering. That's when I knew. He wasn't a cop. He was just a man looking for a paycheck. And he wasn't ready for a real fight. You want to talk about regulations? I said, my voice low and steady. Let's talk about it. I slowly reached into the envelope. The sound of the paper sliding out was the only noise in the street. I didn't rush. I wanted them to see every single movement, to feel the weight of what was coming. Eleanor's smile faltered, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her features. The other officer shifted his weight nervously. They thought they were in control. They thought they had all the power. But they were wrong. I unfolded the papers with a deliberate, crisp motion. These weren't HOA rules. These were the blueprints of the HOA itself. A copy of the official charter. Regulation 37B. Section 2. Subsection C. I said, my voice now a steel blade. I've read it. It states that all fences must be no more than 4 feet tall and of a neutral color. We meet both criteria. You have no case. The words hung in the air, a bell tolling their defeat. Eleanor's face went crimson. She stammered. That's not the point. The point is, it's an eyesore. It ruins the aesthetic. Her mask of civility had finally cracked. The truth, ugly and petty, was exposed for all to see. But I wasn't done. Oh no. The main course was yet to come. And as for your colleagues, I said, looking at the fake cops with a withering gaze, let's talk about them. I reached into my back pocket and pulled out my wallet, flipping it open to reveal my badge. It was a real one, a gleaming, Genuine. Law enforcement badge. My breath caught in my throat. I had a part-time job as a consultant for the county sheriff's department. It was a simple side gig, mostly paperwork, but it came with privileges. Like this. The air seemed to be sucked out of the entire neighborhood. The fake cop's bravado evaporated, replaced by wide-eyed panic. They looked at each other, then at Eleanor, then at my badge. Their faces ashen. The taller one, the one who had spoken to me so confidently moments ago, took a step back. Then another. The sound of his footsteps on the pavement was a sharp, staccato rhythm against the suffocating silence. He was running. His partner, the shorter one, didn't even hesitate. He turned and bolted, his uniform flapping behind him. Eleanor was frozen, a statue of pure horror. Her jaw was slack, her eyes unblinking. The world seemed to pause for a beat, just to watch her collapse. She finally found her voice. A high-pitched, panicked shriek. "Wait. You can't do this. This is my neighborhood," she screamed, her carefully constructed facade of control crumbling into dust. I just shook my head, a sad smile on my face. It's everyone's neighborhood, Eleanor, and it's not yours to control. As the fake cop's car screeched away, the neighbors started to emerge from their homes, drawn by the commotion. They had been watching from their windows. I knew it. They were all silent witnesses to the drama. And now, they were silent witnesses to the aftermath. Eleanor Vance was a broken woman. Her power, built on a foundation of fear and manipulation, was gone. Her carefully curated image of a benevolent community leader was shattered, revealing the petty tyrant underneath. She stood alone in the middle of the street, her face streaked with tears of anger and humiliation. The silence was different this time. It was no longer thick with tension, but with a sense of quiet triumph. Sarah squeezed my hand, her grip firm and reassuring. The fear was gone from her eyes, replaced with a warm, loving light. We had won, not just the battle over the fence, but the war for our peace of mind. As we walked back to our house, Pip ran out to greet us, his tail wagging furiously. The fence, our small act of defiance, stood tall and proud in the afternoon's sun, a symbol of our newfound freedom. We were finally home. And the best part, it felt like we were a part of the community, not just living under its thumb. So, who was in the right? Was it justified for me to use my credentials in a non-official capacity to expose a lie? Or was this a case of two wrongs making a right? I'd love to know what you think.